Welcome to The Eye Opener. I'm your host, Michael Lewis. With the recent shootings in Colorado and Georgia, the Biden administration is looking to take advantage and push gun control. The Democratic Party is using identity politics to plant ideas of victimhood into the mindsets of our fellow Americans. What will this lead to? The border crisis is clearly out of hand, and you will never guess who Biden has assigned to fix it. Okay, my friends, let us take a closer look together. On Wednesday, White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki told reporters the Biden administration is considering a range of potential actions on gun controls, including congressional legislation and executive actions. Psaki also said the discussion of tightening gun control in the White House started weeks ago, well before the two recent shootings in Georgia and Colorado.
I think he sees it as vital to take steps on two tracks because congressional legislation, as the vice president conveyed this morning, obviously has a more permanent, lasting impact. Executive actions are, of course, an important lever that every president has at their disposal. There's current discussions and analysis internally of what steps can be taken. That has been ongoing for several weeks, even before these two recent tragedies.
In recent days, Biden has been actively voicing up for gun control measures. Following the shooting at a Colorado supermarket on Tuesday, Biden called for a ban on assault weapons and high-capacity magazines. High-capacity magazines typically refer to a magazine that holds more than 10 rounds. For assault weapons, Biden didn't articulate what falls under that category, but he and Harris both called for government-mandated buybacks of AR-15 rifles in the past. Also, in a statement released on Monday, March 22nd, Biden urges the Senate to immediately pass the two bills that close, quote, loopholes in the background check system. However, conservatives and pro-gun rights groups speculate that the Biden administration is taking advantage of recent shootings to advance their goal of taking guns away from Americans, which is a violation of the Second Amendment. During the Senate Judiciary Committee hearing taking place hours after the Colorado shooting, Democratic senators described the two recent tragedies as an epidemic of gun violence. But Senator Ted Cruz says, every time there's a shooting, we play this ridiculous theater where this committee gets together and proposes a bunch of laws that would do nothing to stop these murders.
What happens in this committee after every mass shooting is Democrats propose taking away guns from law-abiding citizens, because that's their political objective. But what they propose, not only does it not reduce crime, it makes it worse. The jurisdictions in this country with the strictest gun control have among the highest rates of crime and murder. When you disarm law-abiding citizens, you make them more likely to be victims.
The reality is Colorado has the most strict gun laws in the country. In an interview with Newsmax, Republican Representative Lauren Boebert from Colorado's 3rd District said Colorado has some of the strictest gun laws, which include universal background checks, high-capacity magazine bans, and an extreme risk protection orders. All of these are meant to prevent guys like Ahmad al-Aliwi Alessa, the suspect gunman of the Colorado shooting, from committing the crime, but none of these laws stopped him. The key point is, if the government disarms its citizens, good people lose weapons to defend themselves, but criminals will likely still find ways to obtain weapons because they are lawbreakers in the first place. Besides calling for gun control, in the wake of the Georgia shooting where 6 Asian Americans were killed, the Biden administration also urges Congress to pass hate crime legislation. Biden and Harris flew to Atlanta, Georgia last Friday to denounce anti-Asian racism and hate crimes. Harris said, quote, racism is real in America. But there is no evidence that the Atlanta shooting suspect, Robert Aaron Long, killed the 6 Asian Americans because they were Asian. There's also no evidence of Long having expressed any anti-Asian sentiments on social media or in private conversations. The far-left Democrats are seizing the opportunity of the Georgia shooting tragedy to push identity politics. But identity politics is doing the opposite of uniting our country. I came across an insightful article on this topic by Wen-Yun Wu titled Identity Politics Do More Harm Than Good, and I'd like to share it with you. In light of the shooting in Atlanta, Georgia, Asian Americans are in the crossfire of a cultural war. Without any knowledge of the shooter's motives, this has been called an anti-Asian hate crime by Democrats everywhere, including Joe Biden and Kamala Harris in their announcements for solidarity with the Asian community. While police are still at an early stage of investigating the motives behind the recent shootings in Atlanta, the Biden administration has rushed to point its finger at the prior administration, purportedly scapegoating Asian Americans for the pandemic. CNN calls out racial identities of the shooters and victims in its effort to condemn white supremacy. What's ironic is CNN, along with the majority of the mainstream media outlets, have been reluctant to report on the racial identities of assaulters in other recent crimes targeting Asian Americans. Because if they did, it would debunk their claims since the attackers weren't all white. Only when mainstream media could truthfully report on all the facts of the attackers would the public understand the real issue at play. When they examine all social issues through the prism of race, it only creates more division within society. In the witch hunt of a so-called systematic racism, mainstream media colluding with left-wing politicians are exploring every little evidence of white supremacy. With this false moral narrative, they hope Asian Americans will join other oppressed people who are defined solely on the basis of race to further divide the country. They seek to foster a victimhood mentality among all Americans of Asian descent and erode the solidarity of the nation. Those who lived under repressive regimes in the Soviet Union, Communist China, and other totalitarian states have seen the same hatred of class struggles, only now it's disguised as race struggles in America. When this artificial chaos erupts, politicians rise to absolute power, resulting in the curtailing of freedoms, widespread poverty, and a state of constant fear among citizens. I hope more of us can come to see the real situation at hand, and that this race struggle is a ploy for communists to take power. The Government Accountability Office, GAO, is currently investigating Biden's move in January to freeze construction of the border wall along the US-Mexico border. On his first day in office, Biden used his executive authority to stop building the border wall, although at the time, Congress had approved $1.4 billion for the remaining construction of the wall as part of a $900 billion stimulus package from last December. A spokesperson from the GAO confirmed the investigation, saying the office has accepted a congressional request for a legal opinion on the border wall building suspension. Some senators noted that Biden was a member of the Senate for decades and should know the rules. Senator Roy Blunt said that Biden knows it's the Congress's job to authorize how the money is spent, and it's the president's job to spend it efficiently. Biden's order further stipulated that no more American taxpayer dollars should be diverted to construct a border wall, adding the federal government would conduct a careful review of the resources appropriated or redirected to construct a southern border wall. But Biden forgot to mention that the HALT in construction costs taxpayers $6 million per day while they conduct their careful review. 60 Republican congressmen and 4 Republican senators wrote the GAO on Tuesday. They're asking to be a co-requester for legal opinion on the actions of the Biden administration to suspend border wall construction, as well as Biden's order to freeze funds provided by Congress. They believe Biden's action is a violation of the Impoundment Control Act. Republicans speculate that Biden's immigration orders, including his support of a pathway to citizenship for 11 million illegal immigrants in the United States, is responsible for the surge along the US-Mexico border. How is Biden going to solve his border crisis? Now, before we discuss Biden's new announcement regarding the southern border, if you haven't already, please join me on our Eye Opener Telegram discussion group. The link is down below. And if you want to keep hearing real news that the mainstream media will not let you know about, please consider donating to our show. Our donor box link is in the description. Please like and share this video so more people can see the show. I also want to thank all of you who support me every day. It is absolutely our pleasure to deliver to you news that matters. Okay, my friends, let's get back to the show. Joe Biden announced on Wednesday that VP Kamala Harris is in charge of addressing the migrant surge at the southern border.
But I've asked her, the VP today, because she's the most qualified person to do it, to lead our efforts with Mexico and the Northern Triangle and the countries that help. We're going to need help in stemming the movement of so many folks stemming the migration to our southern border.
This is the first major task Biden publicly assigned to Harris since he took the office. He said Harris is the most qualified person to tackle this challenge. But is it really so? Kamala Harris has a proven record of radical ideologies, including welcoming illegal immigrants. In yesterday's episode, we reported that just on Monday, when a reporter asked Harris whether she had plans to visit the border, she laughed off the question.
Do you have plans to visit the border? Not today.
Harris thought visiting the border was a laughing matter, or she simply didn't have an answer for the reporter. In either case, we don't have the confidence that Harris is going to discourage migrants from coming into the country. But Biden's appointment has other implications other than Harris's qualifications for tackling the border crisis. Last week, when Biden visited the Center for Disease Control, the CDC, he told the staffers Vice President Harris is, quote, smarter than I am. Ronny Jackson, former White House chief medical advisor and former physician to the president, tweeted Sunday, I served as White House physician under 3 presidents. I've seen what it takes physically and mentally to do the job. I can tell you right now that the way Biden is hiding from the public is a major red flag. Something's not right. Jackson served in the White House medical unit under President George W. Bush. He was also President Obama and President Trump's doctor. As early as last year, October, Jackson voiced his concern over Biden's candidacy, quote, I've watched Joe Biden on the campaign trail, and I'm concerned and convinced that he does not have the mental capacity, the cognitive ability to serve as our commander-in-chief and our head of state. According to a recent article written by Kyle Becker, writer and producer for Fox News primetime show, there's a new directive from the White House that federal officials are getting warmed up for the Harris takeover. It's a long-standing security protocol that the president and the vice president should avoid traveling together. But something unusual under the Biden administration is Biden and Harris have broken this rule. They flew together on Air Force One to Atlanta last week. In fact, Biden and Harris are almost inseparable when Biden's signing orders, answering questions, or traveling to other states to give speeches. Harris is always beside him. In addition, as many have already observed, Harris has been playing a key role in foreign policy making. She already communicated one-on-one with a number of foreign leaders, including the Canadian Prime Minister and French President. Harris certainly has broken the unusual presumption that Vice President is a low-key figure in the White House. According to Becker, a leaked email shows top White House communications team member is directing that official correspondence at all federal agencies include mentioning Vice President Kamala Harris. The email also directs to reference the current administration as the Biden-Harris administration in official public communications. If you visit the White House official Twitter account now, it reads, Welcome to the Biden-Harris White House. This is something never heard of before. Kamala Harris is a far-left Democrat. She's a proven champion of the radical left in Congress, more progressive than Bernie Sanders or Elizabeth Warren. If Harris takes over the White House, one can expect a fundamental change of America. Besides Harris's constant presence around Biden, Obama has been in frequent contact with Biden as well. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki confirmed it when a reporter asked her how often former President Obama speaks with Joe Biden.
I will say, having a unique view of this question, they were not just president and vice president. They are friends, and they consult and talk about a range of issues. I would expect that continues through the course of President Biden's presidency. That can be done over the phone, it turns out. And I think if President Obama had been here, you would all know he's a recognizable figure.
Psaki precisely said she would expect Obama to continue talking with Biden on a regular basis through the course of President Biden's presidency. Let's watch this interview with Obama from November 30th, 2020.
What you know now, do you wish like you had a third term? And I used to say, you know what, if I could make an arrangement where I had a stand-in, a front man or front woman, and they had an earpiece in, and I was just in my basement in my sweats looking through the stuff, and then I could sort of deliver the lines, but somebody else was doing all the talking and ceremony. Wow. I'd be fine with that.
Obama is doing what he said in the interview. He doesn't need to visit the White House to give advice. He's been doing it over the phone. Was Obama referring to the front man or front woman as Joe Biden and Kamala Harris? Possibly. President Trump's daughter-in-law, LARA Trump, told Fox News on Tuesday that she's absolutely considering running for the U.S. Senate in her home state of North Carolina. Rumors of a potential run by LARA Trump started after North Carolina Senator Richard Burr voted to convict President Trump in the February Senate impeachment trial. LARA Trump has been making regular media appearances and filming her own political talk show. She regularly defends her father-in-law and criticizes the Biden administration. North Carolina GOP Chairman Michael Whatley commented that LARA Trump is very beloved in North Carolina. If she decides to run, she will have immediate attention and interest from across the state and be the candidate to beat in the race. And like Albert Einstein said, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, but expecting different results. Now, in order for us to see change, we need more American first defenders like LARA Trump to step up. We will no longer accept any more swamp creatures representing us. And that's it for today, my friends. Please like and share, and if you haven't yet, please subscribe. Check out these playlists right here for more eye-opening content. You can also follow me on Newmaker, Gab, Parler, and Telegram. Don't forget, please sign up to our email list so that we can stay in contact with each other. I'd like to thank you all, and I'll see you next time.